Hey guys, and we are ready to do the November Kimberbell project, which is the little lace stocking. You can use it for Christmas ornament on your tree or gift cards, gift certificates, things like that. Jewelry would be really nice to put in there. But we're getting ready for Christmas with all of our Christmas projects, and even though it's 90 degrees today and we're filming this video, it's never too early to start. So let's get going. Okay, so what you're gonna need is your fabric, okay, and it's 2 pieces. One's for the lining, one's for the back. It depends on what size you're doing. We're gonna be doing the 6 by 10 size, so it's both of them are 6.5 by 8.5. And then you need a little bitty piece of the red glitter sheet, and so we're gonna have extras of these cuts, so if you don't have any scraps, then you can grab one of ours. I'm gonna use pinking shears maybe when I go to cut it out, or double curved scissors if we need those. You're gonna need your different colors of thread, and then the instructions say to go ahead and wind bobbins to match those colors. I'm just winding the one pink bobbin to use with both of my shades of pink. I have the off-white bobbin. I went ahead and wound a full bobbin for that off-white because that's what most of the stocking is going to be, and then I just wound a little bit for the red and the green. Then it does recommend that you're using size 70-10 embroidery needles. We have this size 75, and that size is a little bit safer for your needle threader. So I've put one of those in the machine. It's a little bit smaller needle for the lace design, and the embroidery needles have a little bit bigger eye in them. Then Kimberbell tape. We're going to use the little OESD point turner when we go to turn it right side out. Now stabilizer, what it's recommending on the first page, well, it's page 6 of your instructions, what they're doing is hooping up a piece of the water-soluble stabilizer that's the sticky back, and then they're scoring the paper, peeling the paper away, and then laying just a regular piece of water-soluble on top of that. When you remove that paper, that water-soluble stabilizer is the same weight as just your regular wash-away stabilizer. So what I did is I just took 2 pieces of the water-soluble, the wash-away mesh, aqua mesh, and I just sprayed them with the 505 spray, stuck them together, and hooped them both together. When you spray them with the 505 spray, just, do it real light. Don't do a heavy coating of the 505 spray, and it won't make them mushy or anything. So I did that for the stabilizer. Now, part of the prep work is going to be ironing a piece of the SF101 or the fusible backing onto the back side of each of your fabric pieces, and then on your little piece of glitter sheet, be sure that you remove the plastic coating on it like that. So I'm going to go ahead and thread up the machine with the off-white. I have the off-white bobbin already in the machine. I have the size 75 needle in the machine, so I've just got to thread it up, and then we'll get started. Okay, now I've gone ahead. You're going to have 2 stitch files on your USB stick. One of them's the 5x7. The other one is the 6x10. So I've pulled that one up. The first 3 colors are mainly going to be the stocking part, and so there's just going to be a 21 minutes, 15 minutes, and 16 minutes, so about an hour's worth of stitching time. And so we're just going to start stitching. You're sewing directly on the 2 layers of the aqua mesh, and we'll come back when it's done doing that. So this is just going to be a whole lot of sewing. it stitched all of the three first colors, and that was all the base of the stocking and the little snowflakes and all. And so now it's on the green, and so I've gone ahead and I've threaded up the top with the green, and I put the green bobbin in, and now we will stitch that. Okay, it's done stitching the green, and so I've put the red bobbin in the machine. I've threaded the top with the red, and what it's going to do now is the applique for the little berries. So it's going to stitch the placement line, and this is where we're going to use the little piece of glitter sheet. And we're just, and I'm going to tape this. You could either tape it, or if you got your little 505 glue stick, you could stick it down. It's just, this is kind of little, so I don't want to sit there and hold it with my fingers. And it's going to stitch the tack down, and this is going to be a raw edge, and so it's just going to go over the outside of the berries. Oh, got my tape in there. Now I want to tear the glitter sheet, so what I'm going to do is just back up and stitch that tack down again. So we're just going to go into your needle with the minus and the plus, do either the back spool of thread, the minus spool of thread, or the up arrow, and that takes us back to that tack down, and we're just going to stitch it one more time, and that just makes it a little bit easier to tear. Okay, then we can just peel that off and tear the glitter sheet and just kind of pull it up against the stitches, and that tears it away. And now it's just going to go in and do the red joy, and then it looks like it's going to stitch the little flowers in the pink, and then it'll come back and do all the little berries and everything. So I'm just going to keep stitching, changing out my bobbin thread to match my top thread until we get down to the last two stitches, and that's going to be the construction of our stocking. Okay, after it's done doing all the detail stitching, it does say to turn the hoop over to the back side and trim all the thread tails, because even though this is going to be on the inside of the stocking, you will see those little thread tails probably once we wash out the stabilizer, since the body of the stocking is lace. So go in and kind of trim up as many as you can find before we go on. Okay, so step 21 is talking about turning the hoop over and trimming all the thread tails, and step 22 is going to be where we start the construction. So you're going to take one of the pieces of fabric that has the SF101 ironed to the back side of it, lay it right side down on the top of the hoop. So this is over the stocking. Joy is going the right direction. Make sure you're covering it all up. And then it's going to stitch that first, and I've threaded up back up with the off-white in the top and the off-white in the bobbin. it up a little bit. And it's going to go all the way around the outside of the stocking. Okay, finished stitching that first construction line, and it didn't go all the way around. It does leave the opening, or the top open. But now, so this is on the right side, or the top side of the hoop. Now you're going to take it, turn the hoop over. This is the back side, so Joy is backwards. You're going to lay your last piece of fabric that has the SF101 iron to it. You're going to lay it right side down and tape it in place. So lay it down and tape it down. And then when it stitches this final construction, it will go all the way around it, except it is going to leave a little opening on the side that we're going to turn it right side out through. And then put that back on the hoop or on the machine. Just make sure that piece underneath stays flat, and then it's going to stitch that final construction. And so we will come back when it's done doing that. Okay, so we're done with the stitching. I've unhooped it, and what we're going to do is trim everything about 1/4 of an inch away from this tack down line. And so I'm not going to be using the pinking shears here. So we're just going to use our regular shears and trim it about 1/4 of an inch away all the way around. And we're going through the 2 layers of stabilizer, the 2 layers of fabric, all the way around. We'll come back when I'm done. Okay, now what we're going to do, we've got to clip like the notches on the curved parts, but we're just going to be clipping through the layers of fabric. So we're going to clip, so I'm not going to be using the pinking shears. I tried and I couldn't get up close enough. You don't want to stitch, see how you have this layer of the lace that's stitched on the stabilizer in between those. Are you zooming in? In between the 2 layers of fabric, you don't want to clip the threads because then they'll start coming undone. So I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to get a hold of that top layer of fabric and just clip the little notches on this side, and then I'll turn it over and clip the notches on the back side of fabric. So this will take me a few minutes. We'll be back when I'm done. Okay, I've got all the corners and all clipped, and so now we're going to turn it right side out the first time through this little opening here. So we'll come back when I'm got this successfully turned. Okay, now this is just the first turning, so I turned it right side out, and yes, I did whip stitch, hand stitch, tried to, the opening closed, because I thought, one, I didn't want to leave it open because you're going to have the lace that you're going to be able to see through, so you might be able to see that it was opened, and I couldn't use like a piece of the fusible, you know, steam-a-seam or something up inside there because we have the water-soluble stabilizer and I don't want to press it. So I did sew it closed, but now on step 31 of your instructions, it's saying to take some wet Q-tips, cotton swabs, and wet the top edge of the stocking, and that's supposed to dissolve the stabilizer and open this top up. Supposed to. I may have to get it wet, pretty wet. Got several Q-tips here. It's starting. Okay, it's starting to. So yeah, I think you're gonna have to get this good and wet, and it's gonna open it up here on the top. I'm gonna go get me a little bowl of water and keep dabbing these Q-tips to get them wet, and then it will open this up, and then we'll turn it right side out through this opening. Okay, so I got the top opened, and you do have to get it pretty wet. Now this is your last chance, so you want to check the back side of this, and if you have any little jump threads, little thread tails, clip those off before you turn it right side out. So now we're just going to turn it right side out through the opening up here at the top. And it's easier said than done. And as I'm turning it, I'm seeing some thread tails there. I'm going to clip off. There we go. It's going. Then we're going to use our tool to get it all smoothed out. So I'll keep working with it and getting it all, get my toes and my heel poked out here. Okay, so I've got it turned right side out. The joy is right side up. And what we're going to do now is just soak it in some cool water. And it says in the instructions, it depends on how stiff you want it as to how long you're going to soak it. And I don't really want it stiff, so I want to kind of get all of that water soluble out of there. So we're just going to kind of keep working with it until all the water soluble is dissolved, and then we'll lay it out to dry. So we'll be back. And it's done. Now I did have to let it dry overnight, and even though I soaked it, pretty good in the sink, it did dry a little bit stiff, but I just kind of sandwiched it in between like two press cloths, or just take a big piece of fabric and fold it up into the piece of fabric and ironed it, kind of pressed it, and that softened it up a little bit. And so now it's ready to stuff with a little gift or hang it up as a Christmas ornament. Pretty cute.